What's up, cuties? How you doing? Today I got a new tutorial for you. I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. It's super easy. We will be using Luminar 4 as the main editing software. Could do this with Photoshop. You know, you could do sky replacements in Photoshop because we will be doing a sky replacement for this photo. So yeah, we're going to use Luminar 4. I have the picture that I want to edit opened right here. And let's get into creating that photo. So I have the photo here, and it's just a lake up where I go camping with my friends. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to sky replacement, sky selection, and I believed I used Starry Night 2. No, I used Starry Night 1. These are all photos that came with Luminar, so I'm just using what they provided for with this software. As you can see already, it made it look nighttime. What I did for this picture was I changed the relight scene all the way to 100. Just go to advanced settings real quick. I'm going to drop the temperature just a tad, up the exposure just a little bit, not too much, and then we are done with the replacement. Next, what I did was I went to mystical and I just punched it until I liked it. So I'd say about 50. 50 is good for this. I'm gonna go down to color. What I did to make it look more like it's nighttime, I went to adjustable gradient for the bottom, set orientation, just adjusted it to fit the ground, and I straight up just dropped the vibrance. As you can see, it started changing it down here, but not up here. So all we have to do up, and as you can see, just press it done for now. If we turn it off, it's really orange. Turn it back on, it is now desaturated. Next, what I did was I went to top, let's zoom in here, edit mask, brush. I'm gonna change the size of the brush, and we're just gonna paint over the trees because, as you can see here, there's orange on the ground, and the trees are, they're green. You can tell they're green, but you can also tell that they're warm, so the sun is hitting on them from that direction. So we're just gonna zoom back out. I'm just gonna draw over the trees here. Alright, so now that we have the trees masked, you can see that they are more of a dark green, like if it's nighttime. Next thing we gotta do is we gotta do this ground right here. So I'm just gonna zoom in more. I'm gonna make the brush smaller, maybe a little bigger, and I'm just gonna draw on the ground like I did on the trees. Alright, so now we have the desaturated ground and the desaturated trees. And if we look at the before and after, you can tell already that it's looking good. So next thing I want to get rid of is this bright spot right here because of the sky removal. I'm just going to go up and crop. Let's do a 3x4. Crop that in a bit, say to right about there. So it cropped, we have it colored. Next we're just gonna add more effects to it. So let's go over to the dramatic tab, just drag it up a bit, not too much. Might add some more mystical. Let's go down to Pro, Color Enhancer, and this is where you get to play with stuff. So you can see if I drag this up, warm, the sky, the pinks, oranges, they change more, and the cool. If I drag that down, it gets more blue, so it looks more like magical in a sense. Alright, so after we have the main photo edited in Luminar, we're going to open it in Photoshop. It's going to take a minute to export, so I'll come back to you momentarily. Alright, so now we have the photo in Photoshop. First thing I always do when I open up something in Photoshop is I make a new layer, or a copy of the background layer. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the burn tool. Let's make sure I have the burn tool selected. Make the brush a little bit bigger. I'm just going to burn the ground to make it a little more darker. Alright, so we can look at a before and after real quick of the burnt ground. That looks good. Now what I did was mask, brush. I'm just gonna brush out the sky and the trees. Okay, so we have it masked off. What I'm gonna do now is click on the layer, filter, blur gallery, path blur. And I'm going to change the direction of the blur. So I'm going to change the direction of the blur. That looks good. Now you could either do this or you can just throw on motion blur. So I'm just going to show you, I'm just showing you this right here. This is path blur. Now I'm going to show you motion blur. Filter, blur, motion blur. We can change what angle we want it. So say we want it at a 24-degree angle. And we're just going to adjust the distance to what we think looks good, because what we want is, with long exposure night shots, we want to make this look as close to as real as we can. And with night shots, there's always like a motion blur because it's a long exposure. So whatever's moving because of like a breeze, wind, it just moves on its own, is going to have motion blur to it. So it's not perfect down here. There's like shadows from the sun because this was shot like mid-morning, probably around like 10 o'clock, something like that. So we just want to make it look close to actual long exposure. Also with the water would be moving during long exposure, so it would be blurred with a motion. So we have the motion blur. I'm just gonna okay that. And then what I'm also going to do is go back to blur. And I'm going to go to, I say Gaussian blur. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. You can correct me if you want to. I'll go to Gaussian blur, and I'm going to adjust this as well, because if we turn off preview, we can see it's still kind of not sharp, but you can still see some details. So I'm going to turn on Gaussian blur to add a little bit more blur to it. I'm just going to adjust it as I feel is necessary. Now, 12 is too strong. Drop it down to say 9.5. I think that looks good. Let's do a little preview real quick. That looks good. I like how it is. So now you can see we went from this to this. It's super easy. It took no time at all to do. And yeah, that's the video. I hope you liked it. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below what you would like to see next. And I will see you in the next video. Peace. Too far, so I'm just gonna throw this. Hopefully it hits.